This is CJ Baker, and this is the ongoing history of protest songs. So every month on my website, ongoing history of protestsongs.com, I do a monthly recap spotlighting the notable songs and albums that were released during the month. Last month, for the first time, I decided to do a video recap as well. And I decided I'll do the same for February. So just like January, it was another chaotic month that even got more chaotic during the end of the month. We know that the U.S. backed Israel and declared a regime change war on Iran. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at the songs that provided the soundtrack for this month of chaos. And we're going to look at albums later as well, but we're going to begin with songs. And the first song we're going to discuss is Smugglers and Scorers by Kneecap. So this is the second single from the upcoming album Finian by the controversial Irish rap trio. And the first single, Lyle's Tale, I actually featured on my last recap video in January. So concerning the song, the band described the tune as a track that's reminiscent on revolutionary times in Ireland, driven by a hopefulness when the working class academics and good people everywhere united and took action in search of a better future. So yes, it's really a galvanizing tune of unity. So
smugglers and scholars, getting guns with American dollars. Did it before, did it again, no bother, don't need your help with internal matters. Smugglers and scholars, getting guns with American dollars. Did it before, did it again, no bother, don't need your help with internal matters.
For our next song we're going to discuss, it's Living in the USA by Lowcut Connie. So last February, Lowcut Connie canceled a Kennedy Center performance after Donald Trump became the venue's chairman. So on Instagram, frontman and basically the sole constant member of the group, he made the following statement. Arts institutions are one area that should be immune from a corrosive political culture. I sincerely wish for Kennedy Center to return to a non-partisan community building model of arts programming. Until that occurs, I won't perform there. Maybe my career will suffer from this decision, but my soul will be better for it. And then since that time, Reno continues to be vocal in speaking out against the current administration. So that included last May releasing a stripped down piano ballad, which is basically this tune, Living in the USA.
Pray for the future, let the children have a chance to stay. Pray for the future, let the children have a chance to stay.
So originally it was a stripped down piano ballad, but this month he reworked it as a full-on rocker, and he also released an accompanying music video.
In the USA, but it ain't my home. Living in the USA, but it ain't my home.
So this song's going to be the title track from his upcoming album, which will be out July 3rd. So the entire album will be made up of protest songs. And Reno made this statement on Instagram. So he says, I made it. So he made the album because I'm disgusted to see our country descend into an authoritarian hell, a moral vacuum, and a place where art does not lead the cultural conversation. So the lyrics on this song allude to ice raids, and the song it's previously resulted in some backlash. So this backlash included death threats and canceled gigs. So Reno on the same Instagram post, he stated, many people told me just to stop singing Living in the USA last year so as to not ruffle too many feathers. Fuck that. I decided to sing it louder, louder, motherfuckers. So yes, that's why he recorded an even louder, full-on, more rockin' version of the song. So the next song we're going to discuss is First Generation Degenerate by Earth to Eve. So Earth to Eve is a songwriter who has a knack for writing protest tunes that are both catchy and lyrically insightful. So her latest tune, it's a fine example of this. So she expresses both the personal and political angst that many are feeling, but not just many are feeling, because just about any of us could relate to the lyrics, but it especially expresses the emotion that the younger generation feels growing up in the current political climate. And she mentions things such as climate change and economic inequality. So she definitely well expresses, especially what the younger folks are going through.
And I don't care if I don't have a fancy job, big shot career. I wanna love somebody and breathe fresh air without the toxins that pumping in our atmosphere. And
so the next song we're going to discuss is Another Country by Brother Ali. So the latest single by the veteran socially conscious rapper is a jazzy tune that critiques the current divisive state of American politics. So the song deals with the tendency to whitewash history. And because of that, nothing ever gets resolved. History just keeps repeating itself. So, in connection with that, the lyrics link how the ongoing cycle of systemic racism contributes to the current anti immigration rhetoric. And it also spotlights the connection that ICE agents play in this. So, for example, there's the lyrics hoods on the past generations, now mask on the faces. So that lyric definitely hits hard.
Feed black babies to alligators. Hoods on the past generations, now it's mask on the faces. Slave catcher raiders, the massacre, mass gravers. Appropriate nature and the land and the labor.
So the next song we're going to discuss is Stronger Together by Tori Amos. So this is the lead single to her upcoming album, In Times of Dragons. So the entire album is thematically built with each song built around the perspective of a different character. So Stronger Together is sung by a character simply known as the daughter. So appropriately, it features backing vocals from her daughter Tash, who, like her mother, is blessed with an ethereal voice. So concerning the album, Tori made the following statement. So she states, In Times of Dragons is a story that parables the current dangerous times we are in, where democracy itself is on the line. As I'm fleeing from the character that is my sadistic billionaire lizard demon husband, I came across people I had not been allowed to see in years. And they had not wanted to see me because of the relationship I found myself in. To avoid being captured and dragged back to the lizard demon's penthouse, I run to the deep south of the US to throw him and his henchmen off my trail. One of the many characters I meet on the journey is the daughter. We spend time and sing together. Stronger Together is the combination of our relationship as it is transformed with the daughter choosing to stand by me no matter what challenges lay ahead. Whatever we will face in the future, we make a vow to each other that we're stronger together. So, yes, definitely a galvanizing tune. And the entire album, it seems like it's definitely a fitting concept for the political times that we're in. So the next song, Lil Zahn Goes to Washington by Equal Astra. So this is the latest single from the upcoming sophomore album from the DC punk band. So their excellent debut album, Pink Balloons, was one of my favorite protest albums of 2024. So this album, The Beltway is Burning, is due out April 22nd. So concerning the premise of the tune, band member Liam Hughes states, in times when Nicki Minaj is tight with the president, it feels right that Lil Zahn becomes a lobbyist. So in the fictionalized song, the SoundCloud rapper starts with good intention. Basically, he's lobbying for addiction support legislation, but then he becomes a corporate sellout. So this actually fits the theme of the entire album, basically. So it's a conceptual storytelling album, which includes a world where Adam Sandler becomes the US president. So I'm actually, I mean, I already is a fan of the band, but I'm definitely looking forward to this album. It sounds like it'll be a very intriguing, compelling concept. So we're now going to go to our next song, Nazi Teeth by Dead Pioneers. So this is the latest single by the indigenous fronted spoken word punk group. And it really is a non-subtle anti-fascist tune. So the aggressive musical attack complements the straightforward lyrical attack. So it basically addresses how white supremacists we have come out of hiding during both terms of Trump's presidency. And it also features guest vocals from Stephanie Brine, who's the vocalist of the feminist punk band Cheap Perfume. Sorry, Cheap Perfume. And Cheap Perfume had a 2017 tune, It's Okay to Punch Nazis, which is also very direct and not subtle. So basically, this song covers similar themes.
Fascist, white supremacist, unprincipled, ego nihilist. You claim to believe in something true, rebranded hate, but it's nothing new. I will gladly punch you in your white power face, make you feel my red power race. Nazis, fascists, and incel boys, turn down your racist noise. Nazi teeth.
The next song we're going to discuss is No Kings, No Hate, No Fear, a street anthem for freedom's gladiators by Niles Lofgren. So, veteran musician and longtime member of Bruce Springsteen's E Street Band just released this timely protest song. And of course, Bruce Springsteen, the boss and his boss, we know released his own protest song in January, the streets of Minneapolis. So this song is available for free download on his website. He co-wrote it with his wife Amy, and he premiered the song on Mary Trump's YouTube channel. So Mary Trump is Donald Trump's niece, and let's just say she does not support her uncle. So yes, it's a galvanizing tune, and we'll just watch a brief clip where he makes his comments about why he wrote the song.
That back then, like if you were racist, you knew to be quiet about it. You weren't proud of it. You knew you could get fired. You knew it was a bad thing, even if it was in your heart, which is sad. But, we all are aware of the history of this country. And it was a very traumatic time for me. But I have to say, fast forward, I have such PTSD from those times. And this time feels worse. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to try writing an anthem.
No kings, no hate, no fear, a mighty people here. We the people in the street, we the people.
So the next song we're going to discuss is Illegal Aliens by Delilah Bond. So this single by the UK Brat Punker, it's an anti-ICE protest song, and concerning the song, she made the following statement. Seeing the brutality towards immigrants, many of which have lived and worked in the U.S. their whole lives, imprisoned in these inhumane camps, break my heart. There's thousands of kids alone in those camps. Families are searching for their loved ones. I wrote this song a year ago today, and after canceling my US tour, it felt like a moment to finally release it. The song is about activism and protest, pointing the finger at those that divide us and uniting together in our collective rage. So she mentioned in her comments how she canceled her tour. So the reason why she made the following statement. So the statement, my crowds are very diverse in the US. I have many POC fans that are in hiding. Many trans fans who are afraid of being body searched by federal agents. And it filled me with rage, imagining my shows becoming a target. My fans were so supportive of my decision. I had many people reach out to me and offer support. So all proceeds from downloads purchased directly from a website go to MIRAC, so that's the Minnesota Immigrant Rights Action Committee, which is a grassroots organization aiding immigrants impacted across Minnesota.
People in the street, on his side screaming me with the motherfucking change that these men don't wanna see. I see women and workers, the immigrants, POC, the indigenous people, no LGB without T.
So one other song I'd like to discuss is Go Bomb Iran. This is a Scam by Ren. So it was actually released on February 28th, the last day of the month, and basically a very immediate response to the war in Iran. So I actually ended up recording this portion of the video after I already recorded the entire video, and then I'm adding it into the video because I kind of stumbled upon this afterwards. But Ren is a singer-songwriter who I featured on my site before. I enjoy a lot of her songs, very honest and heartfelt. And this anti-war protest song is a scathing indictment of the, as I mentioned, the recently launched regime change war against Iran. So the lyrics, they address media propaganda, and they really make it clear that the only ones that benefit from the war are the corporate and political elite who really derive bloodstained profits. And that's actually highlighted one lyric in particular that stands out to me. The lyric is, our politics is just to serve their wealth. So like I said, I kind of stumbled upon this after I initially recorded the video, but I thought it would be good to add it to the video because it is a very timely tune, especially in connection with what's going on. And it's not sometimes when people write really quick tunes, you can be cynical about it, but even when you listen to the way that Ren expresses their emotions, you can tell that this is a very heartfelt, sincere response.
We used to make things that weren't jets and bombs. You used to dream of something bigger than yourself. But the culture's telling you to just sell out. And our politics is just to serve their wealth. Go bomb Iran. This is a scam.
So before we get to the albums, I'm just going to mention a few other songs quickly. So we got the usual suspect, Jesse Wells. He released a couple of songs. One, Whirlwind, which is a rapid fire stream of consciousness song where he kind of sings about the current state of politics. And also earlier in the month, he released the song Surely Not about Nick Shirley. So he basically scathingly indicts the wannabe journalist, Nick Shirley. But also, I think it's good to note about 8 months ago, he released the song Sometimes You Bomb Iran. So that song basically has become relevant again with what's currently going on. I also like to mention the song You're Next by Moonwalker. So this is the second single from his upcoming album, Wasteland Country, which will be out May 1st, 2026. So basically, with Jesse Wells, the main reason why I'm not spotlighting any of those songs directly is he showed up in a few videos. So I just want to spend more time talking about other artists. And I wanted to highlight that because sometimes when people think of modern day protest singers, the first name and unfortunately sometimes the only name that comes to mind is Jesse Wells. So I just wanted to spotlight others. In terms of Moonwalker, I featured him previously as well. And one of his songs, The List, I featured in one of my in my video for the getting tongue tied. But yeah, I featured one of his songs, The List, in the video of the top 25 protest songs. And I discussed one of the songs in my last recap video. And then the next song I'm just going to mention quickly is Citizen Ice by the Dropkick Murphys. So this song by the veteran Celtic punk band. It's a reworking of their 2005 tune, Citizen CIA. I'll just quickly mention one more song, which is also a reworking. The song is She Got Game by Public Enemy. And this is a reworking of the iconic rap group's 1998 hit, He Got Game. So just like that song, it samples the all-time classic protest song, For What It's Worth by Buffalo Springfield. In the song, it appropriately features a couple of female MCs, Flo J and Bettina MC, and a slew of other female vocalists. But the song is a celebration of female excellence, and it also stands out with Flavor Flav's current efforts to elevate women athletes, especially US Olympians and Paralympians. So the first album is actually technically an EP, and this is by far the biggest name artist that we're going to discuss in this video. So it's Days of Ash by U2. And of course, U2 is no stranger to writing political music. Like, for example, I recently on my website published a list of the 100 best protest songs of the 80s, and a couple of those songs were by U2. And one of those songs was featured in the video I did of the top 25 protest songs of the 80s. And of course, as I mentioned in the video, in recent years, the reputation of U2 and Bono has taken a hit a bit, but they still have the ability to write socially conscious songs. And in the case of the songs on this album, it would be easy to maybe approach it with a little bit of skepticism and maybe accuse some of the lyrics of bordering on cliche. But the songs do address important issues. Like they have songs about Palestine and the Ukraine, and they also released a song and video in tribute of Renee Good. So that song's American Obituary. So the songs do still, I think they still do a fairly good job of protesting what's going on in the world.
Renee Good, born to die free, American mother of three, 7th day January, a bullet for each child, you see the color.
So the next album is Ugh by Mandy, Indiana. So this is the sophomore album by the English-French noise band, and it's really a compelling mix of both the personal and the political. And I also love their debut album. The debut album, I've Seen Away, was one of my favorite protest albums. And not even just protest albums, it was one of my favorite albums of 2023. So throughout the album, vocalist and lyricist Valentine Caulfield, she effectively expresses her righteous indignation at both for sexual abusers and the political elite. So she basically addresses a whole stream of different topics that she expresses her righteous anger at. And one of those songs on the album, Magazine, she basically released it towards the end of 2025. And it was one of the best protest songs of 2025. So I discussed that song where she directs her attention at a person that raped her. That was one of the best protest songs of 2025, and I discussed it in the video of the top 25 protest songs of that year. So we're now going to get to my next album, Love Is Not Enough by Converge. So this is the first proper album in 9 years by the metalcore veterans. And it's really a mix of both the political and the personal. And it really well expresses the darkness of the times that we are in. And the lyrics also address serious topics like the role that technology plays in making society more divided. It discusses issues like political apathy. It also discusses the evil role that big pharma plays in the opiate addiction epidemic. So it covers like a whole slew of topics there. So the next album is We Mean It Man by Gojo Bordello. So this is the latest album by the veteran gypsy punks who are fronted by the Ukrainian-born Eugene Hutz. So it does cover a whole slew of political topics. Like one of the songs released towards the end of 2025 is Hato Liquidator, which I did feature on my website. But concerning the Ukrainian situation, one of the album's highlights is the closing track, Solidarity. So this, as the name suggests, it expresses solidarity with the Ukrainian people.
Feel I'm strength, feel I'm life. Like a candle burning through the blood of night.
The next album we're going to discuss, which I think is one of the more interesting albums, 1783 by Aquaculture. So the latest release by the Canadian rapper and vocalist. It's a powerful concept album based on the year that 3,000 people left New York and sailed for the Canadian province of Nova Scotia. And they sailed to the province with the hope of finding freedom. And I think part of what makes this interesting is that this is an aspect of Canadian history that quite often doesn't get related. So not only did I enjoy the album, because it is like musically, it's good. It's a solid musical album. There's some beautiful vocals. There's some good lyrical flow with the rapping, but it's also very educational. So I found the album very enlightening that way. So one of the songs, which I previously featured on my website, which was released towards the end of 2025, is Gallows. So this is a gripping song because it's basically about agriculture's. His real name is Lance Sampson. So it's about his great great grandfather, Daniel Perry Sampson, who was wrongfully convicted of murder and he was executed in 1935. So that's definitely a gripping song. And also part of the powerful aspect of the album is it also discusses the racism that existed within Canada as well. Because sometimes when people think of Canada, They think of the less racist neighbor of the United States. And of course, you can argue whether or not we're less racist, but it's wrong to say we're not racist. Like we have our own dark history with racism as well.
Down a path I couldn't see. These medals won't ever change that they treating me rotten. This boy done chose war. Wasn't no draftee. Souls that didn't fall. We was forgotten.
So we're going to talk about one final album. And this possibly might be my favorite release of the month and maybe even the year. And it's an album that actually is a fairly low profile. Like they don't have a Wikipedia page. The album is not listed on Rate Your Music. Very little is known about the band. There's a relatively small number of streams on Spotify, or at least compared to the other releases. But I just love this album. So the name of the album is And Now We Take America by Dancing the Conga. So Dancing the Conga is a Norwegian indie power trio. And the album features infectious melodies with insightful social commentary. So the most political aspect of the album is the fact that AOC appears on the cover and includes a quote from AOC on the opening track.
America, that's the country that we fight for. America, 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 that's the country that we fight for. America, America, America.
So the album really is a satirical social critique of what it takes to get ahead in America. So in connection with that, the band made the following statement. And now we take America leaves no doubt about what we are here to do. We understand that if you want to get ahead, you've got to make friends with your enemies, even if that entails sacrificing your soul. And then in parenthesis, in social democracy, on the bonfire of neoliberalism. This album explores the consequences of that sacrifice. Also, we will never again be this relevant with anything ever. So even with that statement, that helps explain why they included AOC on the album cover and included her quote. Because even when you think of AOC, she's someone, part of the reason why she had that upset political victory and she defeated someone who was part of the establishment was because she was viewed as outside of the establishment. She was progressive, she was a democratic socialist. So basically, in the band statement, they highlight the fact that for her to get ahead politically, maybe she had to sacrifice some of those political ideals. I mean, she still gives lip service to those political ideals, and she's done that speaking tour with Bernie Sanders, where she speaks out against the oligarchy. But to a certain extent, in order to politically succeed, she may have had to sacrifice at least some of her political values. I don't want to say she abandoned them completely, but I think to a certain extent, she's allowed herself to be politically corrupted. And that's not even a total knock against her, because I think, unfortunately, anyone who gets involved in politics, it's hard to be outside of the establishment and be part of the establishment at the same time. I wouldn't say it's hard, it's probably next to impossible. But yeah, it is an excellent album, and I think it's an album that I think the politics are subtle enough that even if you're not into the political aspects, I think it could still potentially be an enjoyable listen.
Monarchy, fucked up by my friends and my enemies. This head of mine is all I've got. I get tired of my thoughts and I think a lot. I've been thinking a lot about anarchy.
So that concludes the video. Are you aware of any notable political protest albums or songs that were released throughout the year that are not covered in the video? And also, this is just a recap of some of the songs and albums that appeared on my full list on the website. So for even more albums and songs, you can check out an even more extended summary on my website, ongoing history of protest songs.com. And you can also check out my recently launched Medium and Substack, and I'll post a link to that in the comments. So if you want me to continue making these recaps and continuing to make videos, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and please stay safe.